Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stephen and Corey. I'm Stephen, and this is...
I'm Corey. Welcome back to Stephen and Corey. Get it together. Get it together.
Get it together. That's
right. That's right.
This girl's too much. Anyway, if this is your first time ever seeing this podcast, here's the deal. We've been married for 40 years. We've known each other for 42 years. Right?
That's true. Yes.
And it has been so fun. We have two daughters, actually women now. We were able to accomplish that.
Yeah.
We have an exciting show for you. It's entitled, Don't Tell Me to Calm Down.
No, that's not what it's called. It's called, Don't Tell Me to Calm Down. That's what it's called.
Did you see the neck?
Don't tell me to calm down. Yeah. Just remember that this is a safe space. So when we're talking, we're sharing with you things that have happened to us, things that have happened to other people, and we're going to give you those stats and facts. So we're going to get right into it. And has anyone out there said, don't tell me to calm down, or look somebody up and down when you say, don't tell me to calm down?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You got to have some attitude in that. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to say that to Corey all the time. Calm down. You going to let that ruin your day?
Yes. Yes, I am. Yes.
This podcast, we're going to actually talk to you about some skills to help navigate that entire
fair fighting, fighting fair. And when you're fighting fair, it's not really even fighting. It's just having conversation.
That's right. But again, you have these things that transpire. We call it a little bit of turbulence, turbulence in the water or bad waves or whatever.
Yeah. When we get into those situations, when we're saying, don't tell me to calm down, you know, what's really happening is you're the one that's not calm because you're trying to control the situation. Don't tell me to calm down because you're the one that's not calm.
Right. Exactly.
What is that actually doing when you say, don't tell me to calm down to your spouse or to your partner? What do you think that's doing in their head? What do you think that's doing to the situation?
Well, it's actually nullifying their feelings. You're nullifying your spouse's feelings when you actually tell them to calm down.
Yeah, because you're not making it important. They might be thinking this is really important. If you're saying, hey, calm down, you're saying that I don't put a priority, or, maybe it's not that important to you.
If your wife or your husband is upset and you actually listen to them, they will actually really appreciate that. They'll absolutely appreciate that. Hear them out. Okay. Nod and be supportive.
See what I'm doing?
Hear them out because they have something to say.
Sure.
Something has triggered them.
And sometimes it's good to repeat back what they're saying. Sometimes it's not. If it's in a heated situation, you repeating back to what they're saying, they might go, are you mimicking me? So you have to figure out how to do that the right way, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you mimic back, I see you're upset and you're saying this. I know what I'm saying. Why do you keep saying this? So once you calm the situation down, you might be able to mimic back. Yeah.
So here's a question for you folks in the audience. How do you control yourself and how do you calm down when you've become angry? What do you do?
Yeah. Do you resort to irrational tactics, maybe fighting, slamming doors, or using your hands, or just doing exaggerated motions? Do you do that? Because if you recognize you're doing that, that's something you can stop. To help the situation. Also, do you need to have the last snarky word? Are you the person that says, I'm just going to have the last word? That used to be here. You just had to have the last word. It's and then when I say something, don't talk back.
Yeah. You just get caught up in it because.
Or do you get historical? I remember when you did this before, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Do you remember 8 months ago? Do you get historical? Because historical can be hysterical. So do you pull up past wounds or offenses that might not be helping the situation?
Yeah. The thing is that what we're sharing here is very normal for a lot of people. And the idea here is that understand that you can develop skills, right? You can also develop skills and processes and protocols that you can implement into your marriage so that you can manage through these things, right?
Think about this. If you're going to have a relationship, now, again, this podcast is based on relationships, getting it together for yourself and then getting together with your spouse or your partner.
Right.
So if you're
being candid about the things that actually transpire.
Sure. And so when we're talking about this, don't tell me to calm down and fighting fair, you've got to really develop skills, because it could be a history, like we just talked about, of being snarky or, pulling up things. So
I think that's actually a really good word, snarky, because it actually seems a little bit disrespectful.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So we're going to give you some ideas and some takes on how to develop yourself through these issues so that you're both developing within yourselves, but you're developing together where you can compliment each other and go, we did pretty good on this one, so it's a growth process. So
Absolutely.
here are a couple of steps that we have. You want to talk about this one?
Sure. I'm going to read this off because we did this research. So as cliche as it sounds, though, separate yourself and maybe count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Anyway, count to 10 slowly. Guess what's happening while you're doing that? You are actually calming down.
You're running thoughts through your head and you're trying to organize and we're going to tell you what to think about when you're counting to 10, because some people go, okay, I counted to 10, I'm still ticked off. So it allows you to run the thoughts that are necessary to filter between all the conversations that you're having and divide out what are hurtful things, what are stupid things that you might have said or might have been said to you. Filter through that. It allows you to decide what is going to come out of your mouth next.
Right, because they say loose lips when you're under the influence of anger can hurt people. And by the way, while you're counting, ask yourself, all right, why does this make me angry? What is it about this entire situation that has sent me off the rails? Why does it make me angry? And the other thing is it going to matter 5 minutes from now? Is it going to matter 5 hours from now? Is it going to matter 5 days from now?
5 months or 5 years? Yeah.
5 years? I mean, again, some of these things truly will not matter in 5 minutes if you calm down, right?
Yeah. I see here, I'm just looking at this. It says, scrutinize the reasoning. Does it really mean what I'm making it to mean? In other words, when you're saying something, does it really mean what you're making it to mean? That's like when you're getting a point across, are you saying it again for them to understand? Or are you saying it to manipulate the situation? Or is it possible that you're misinterpreting this situation? So you may see something and it may be just as innocent, but it gives you an opportunity to be triggered and say something that it really doesn't mean.
Yeah, that's good.
So we found that if you'll run this method through until the end, it eliminates a lot of the issues and eliminates a lot of useless emotions that you really are pulling up just out of habit. And it could be out of habit. It could be something that you just are so used to in previous relationships. But aren't we trying to get better for ourselves?
Absolutely.
I mean, I want to be better for me.
Right.
He gets the benefit of me being better for me,
That's right. And then I get the benefit of her being better for her.
Yes, that's
Absolutely.
what I just said.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If I'm better for me, when I approach him in a situation, I know that the words that are coming out of my mouth are going to be words that are going to be beneficial to me and to him, because I don't want anything coming back on me. Whatever you put out there comes back. So if you're putting out the prosperous, edifying, healing words, what comes back has to be that. Unless, and we're going to talk about this, unless you need counseling or coaching or therapy.
Right.
If there's something there that you just cannot get to the nicety of your relationship, then you may need to go deeper than just the 10 seconds stepping away or other techniques that we're going to talk about.
Well, it's important, though. We have to get into this a little bit because there are some people who actually do need therapy or they need deeper help. Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes, again, you've been scripted by your blueprint in terms of perhaps maybe how you were raised, how your parents navigated through these kind of things. Did they do it in front of you guys? Did they do it away from you guys? What did
did they do it to you?
Exactly.
Or is this this is how we spoke in my family?
Right.
Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct.
A lot of dynamics here.
It is. And sometimes there is no fighting fair in families. It's fighting to get to the top.
I mean, you can see a scenario here of someone saying, well, would you please calm down? Don't tell me to calm down. I mean, they just, that right there just sends them off the rails. Telling them to calm down.
So one thing we put here is, on the flip side, if you're still not calm at this point, do not revisit the situation. In other words, if you're not calm about whatever the problem was, put it in the back burner and wait for later. Maybe it's something that you guys discuss outside of the environment that you're in. If it's happened in the house, maybe you guys go to a coffee shop and say, you know what, let's talk about this in a public situation, in a public area where we can't scream or yell or anything else. Let's stay in a public environment. But it could just be that you need to put it on the back burner. Keep yourself separated from it until you are ready to have sound mind to be able to discuss it properly.
And, if we keep this in the correct context, right, the thing that's really important is to understand that every relationship has disagreements. You have two different people, two different perspectives about a lot of different things. So let's just get that on the table right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're going to have disagreements. But again, we're talking about learning how to navigate through those.
One thing you have to remember is that you are responsible for controlling yourself.
That's good.
No one can make you do anything. You are responsible for controlling yourself. And sometimes it's not easy, but it is your responsibility. Sometimes you have to walk away from a situation to get control of your own self.
Sure.
Somebody cannot set you off. It is what you allow to be set off. So again, it's a new muscle. It's a new muscle for a lot of people. It was a new muscle for me, in certain situations. It was a new muscle and it was a new muscle for him too. But it just depends on how much you're accustomed to using that muscle of tolerance.
So some of our other notes here, we have that essentially a bad argument can turn even a little problem into a big one. And as we transition to our stats and facts, we always give you some stats and facts that we acquire through research. And this one is from Sachs and Sachs. It says that constant arguing among married couples is a major cause of divorce. Constant arguing between couples is a cause of major divorce, with approximately 57% of couples separating as a result. I mean, again, think about it. No one really wants to be at war all the time. And that's, if you're in constant disagreement, constant arguments about things, you're in war at all times. The Marriage Hub also tells us that there are 6 steps to help you deal with conflict in a positive way.
Okay,
right?
So this is where we're going to help you if the 10-second rule doesn't work.
Right.
We've discovered that when we have helped couples in our life coaching, that this has tremendous help for those 6 steps in their lives. And you can take that not just in your own relationship with with your spouse, but you can do it with your children. You can do it with your parents. You can do it with whoever's in your life that you feel like you're always in conflict with.
Sure.
So step number 1, establish rules of engagement. Set a time and a place for your discussion. Allow time to cool down. Find a time and place so kids won't be a distraction, and acknowledge that there is a problem and agree together on when and where you will talk about it.
What I like about this is it allows you a chance to pull back, right? Because when you establish these rules of engagement, you're simply saying, this is how we're going to operate. This is how we're going to handle disagreements. We're going to give them the space they need, or give this disagreement the respect that it needs.
That's good. Respect. Yes.
Right. So that we can manage through this.
That's good. Yeah.
That's really important.
And then step number 2, identify the problem and look for a win-win.
Win-win.
Not a me versus you solution. If you both win, you build intimacy. If one wins and one loses, intimacy is weakened. And we had a great conversation about what intimacy is. It's not just sexual intimacy, it's relational intimacy. I feel comfortable, I feel intimate, I feel cocooned in this relationship because we're both winning. So how do you find a win-win? Somebody may have to compromise a little bit, and that's okay, as long as you're not compromising to a point where you're losing your values of things. But if it's a win-win, you live in more harmony than a me versus you.
Step number 3, and this is one that actually resonates really big with me, because actually Corey was able to help me in this area. Step number 3 is stick to the issue. Stick to the issue. I had a tendency to float out of this issue into another issue that we hadn't had closure on. I mean, and she's like, no, wait a minute, let's get back. Let's stick to this one.
Yeah.
But again, stick to the issue. Don't fight a multi-front war, right? This leads to more confusion and more anger, right?
Yeah.
Step 4 is use I statements to express your feelings instead of you statements, right? So here's an example. I was hurt by the comment of blah, 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 or I felt disrespected when you did thus and so. Not, again, you, but I, right?
Not you know, when you did this, or when you do this, it bothers me, or you always, you're pointing a finger, as opposed to giving your feeling, you're accusing someone of something instead of giving your feeling towards how you feel.
Right.
Because again, we have this wonderful book we love. It's called Feeling is the Secret. Your feelings are what is really happening a lot in your life. In your thought process is how you feel. So just understand that.
Sure. Yeah. Step number 5, forgive and forget. Forgive and forget. Bury it. Now, that's a hard issue for some people. It's very, very difficult to do. But the reality is that both spouses can be harmed in an argument. Don't forget that, right? So humbly ask for and grant forgiveness, and agree not to bring the issue up again.
Yeah.
Right.
Step 6, pray, pray, pray. Pray for God to help you navigate through this challenging time, because it is a challenge. And you just saw that 57% of marriages can end in a divorce or separation. So really, if you're putting God first and you're praying to God about these situations, ask him for the power to mirror his forgiveness, unconditional love to match his. If you mirror God's forgiveness and unconditional love, you'll get through these things and you'll come out in the win-win. And you'll also recognize the weaknesses that you have as a couple. It's not a one-sided thing. It's not one of you works on yourself and the other one just takes all the benefit and never turns their conversation around. It's a dual highway.
You know, I'm sitting here as I listen to you, I'm having this like a reflection of, think about, what do you ultimately achieve by tearing each other down? I mean, come on, guys. What's the result here?
Darkness, hurt, pain. There's nothing positive about it.
There's nothing positive about it. We said we loved each other, and now we're tearing each other apart. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. On with praying for God to help you through this, navigate through this. Colossians, we wrote this down because we do like this. Colossians 3:12-14.
Yes.
So, as those who have been chosen of God, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing one with one another, and forgive each other, just as the Lord forgave you, so also should you. Beyond all these things, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. And that's what you're getting to, a bond of unity.
Right.
A bond of unity. It's not selfish.
We're on the same team.
Yeah.
We keep saying this.
Remember that. Bottom line is, you won't always find a solution that satisfies both of you. Sometimes you have to meet in the middle. That's your win-win. Sometimes it's a meet in the middle. And if it's not going to matter in 5 hours, 5 minutes, meet in the middle.
Yeah. And, you know, this is something that we've said in other episodes. It's worth repeating. And that is, actually, Corey and I are like totally opposite each other. I mean, we're like polar opposites in developing skills in these areas. This is what actually has given us the newness or the comfort, or this is what has helped us, win in marriage, because we learn how to manage these things.
And when he says we're opposites, we're not opposites in the basis of beliefs and morals and, foundational things.
Yeah.
We're not opposites in those things. We're same faith, same, moral beliefs, same way of raising children.
Yeah.
We're opposite in, I like to take a nap in the middle of the day. He's just starting to do that. We're opposites in things that are just humorous and lifestyle.
Right.
So just understand that we are coming from a place of, we do have unity in the depth of our relationship.
Yes.
So that's what you're looking for in your relationship. Unity in the depth of if you have not gotten married yet and you're still dating, look for unity in the depth of your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of this fighting fair and don't tell me to come, that won't even happen.
Yeah.
Not at that depth level where you're questioning, should I even be with this person? But it comes in the little things, that can just turn your day into a nightmare if you allow it, But again, it's in the end, you need to realize the most important thing is your relationship. Nothing else matters as much as that, because you're building on that relationship. You're building a family, you're building a lifestyle based on that relationship.
This is so good because as I was thinking, we're transitioning now to what we call the real raw session here, where we kind of like air our own dirty laundry. And if I could just say that really mine was the culmination literally of everything we're talking about. I had no idea about these things. I would run around and I would say things to Corey like, "Oh, you're going to let that ruin your day? Why don't you calm down?" Now that I've learned all these things, that was absolutely not the right thing to say. Right? I'm sorry, honey.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. How about you?
Well, now I got to tell you, so growing up in most of my relationships, I always like to argue about things. I just thought it was fun to find an argument, find a disagreement. And I know I grew up with that because I always was taught to challenge.
Right.
I just was challenging it in the wrong areas. I was funneling it in the wrong areas. And I was that mean girl. Now, not in school, like in high school, not in high school, but I could be that mean girl. Like I could say things just to set somebody off. Yeah. And it wasn't like I was a mean girl just to girls. Oh, no. I was a mean girl to everybody. I always had a comeback. And as nice as I was to most people, if I just didn't like you or I felt something about you, I could just try to set you off by just saying the wrong thing. So it wasn't so much that I didn't know how to calm down. I like to watch people get uncomfortable. I would like to say, it's so wrong. It's so un-Christian. I was a bad girl in some areas. Now the people that knew me, that liked me, they were like, "Oh, she's so kind," and because I would never do that to them. But look, see if you find you in what I'm talking about, because I was, and I'd say that I was spoiled and toxic. Let's put it that way. Okay. I was spoiled and toxic.
I would agree.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it until I realized it, and when I came to know the Lord as my Savior, that's when I realized my conversation's got to stop. Some of the things I say are just off. Even though I knew I had a kind side, the other side, it wasn't like, well, I just have it. So, that's a yin and yang. No, that's a negative. And you don't have to have that much negative to balance a positive.
Hey, we've got some questions that have come in. And I'm going to take the first one here from our trusty box. You guys might know that we use our trusty little box here. So here's the first question. All right. My wife and I always argue about me taking good advice from my parents. She thinks I listen to them too much, but they have a strong marriage and we could use help in some situations. How do I get her to understand that their advice is helpful? Well, I think maybe you guys need to get some advice from an impartial point of view, right? So that, again, you've got that to bounce it up against. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it seems like your spouse doesn't want your parents to know what's going on in your life, which is fair. That's fair. Yeah. So maybe you go to another couple and who's been married longer. I would not suggest you go to a couple that you're very close with, that are close in your marriage age. Like if you've been married 5 years and they've been married 5 years, no, because they'll go, "Yeah, I know. I just went through that too. That was just rude." No, go to somebody that you look to as a married couple and go, "Oh, I like their marriage. I like the way they flow. Let's see if they will mentor us, or let's see if we can glean from them." So go find somebody.
That's good.
And if you don't know someone, join activities in your church, in your community, do things join a bowling league, join something together that you meet other couples so that you can maybe find those couples out there. Because when you've been married a certain amount of time, you're more than welcome to offer advice to those young marrieds.
Absolutely. I would say, again, overall, and to add to Corey's point, is bottom line is don't let this be a bone of contention between you two of you.
Yeah.
Again, this could actually spur on another disagreement, but don't let it do that. Yeah. All right.
Pass me the box.
Okay.
Okay. So in the box, what do we have this time? Let me pull this one out. Okay. I know me and my partner are going to fight, but I get so sick and tired of the anger and frustration I feel even when we are finished fighting. How do you really fight fair? Oh, that's funny. Because we just talked about
how do you really fight fair?
This person gets angry and frustrated even when they're finished fighting. So here's some advice. You might need a counselor. It might not be just go to a couple who's been married longer.
Yeah.
Because
You're talking what, therapy?
well, counseling, therapy, sometimes you just need counseling and not a therapist.
Yeah.
Just depends on how deep the fighting goes, you know.
Right.
It's good to get those healthy feelings out, you know, and it's healthy to get those bad feelings out.
Right.
So you have to get that out of your system. And if that's important to have a healthy thoughts and feelings to express, then it's important to have it done in the proper way. And you may not know how to have those healthy, proper feelings felt.
Yeah.
You may not know how to do that. So I would say get counseling. Remember, I just told you I was a mean girl, you know, and I didn't have to go through counseling. I went to the Lord and I heard my conversation. And sometimes it just takes hearing your conversation or hearing somebody, you know what I would say? I just thought about this. Mm-hmm. Record your arguments.
Oh, that's good.
And then listen to them later.
Wow.
Record your arguments and then listen to them. Put your phone down and record yourselves. And then take a moment and listen to it.
You know, I'm sitting here reflecting as I'm listening to you talk, and it's like there are so many of these nuances of mm-hmm. marriages and relationships. There's so many of these nuances that can totally get you so sidetracked. You know, like I said earlier, we've been married for 40 years. And one of the things that I think is really great, Rao, is that we have the skills to be able to navigate these waters mm-hmm. and to be able to bring this kind of wisdom to you. Because mm-hmm. if, you know, depending on where you are in your marriage, maybe you haven't overcome these kind of things yet. But we want you to understand there is peace in the valley.
Yeah. Yeah.
There truly is peace in the valley. And you can get comfortable with each other mm-hmm. because you know what? You didn't get married to be at odds with each other mm-hmm. all the time. Mm-hmm. You got married to be able to enjoy the relationship, enjoy this other person, and help edify this other person to become the individual that they're called mm-hmm. to be. Mm-hmm. You know,
that's good.
Can you speak to that at all? I mean,
you said it. That's great. Yeah. I love the way you said that. Yes. So we're in closing. We just want you to know that that's what we're here for. Yes. We're here to help you navigate and to get your advice on things. We want you to comment on these things too. We want to hear your comments. Hey, you could
like be answering, and subscribe.
You could be answering these questions too. You know, you could be, when we have a question that we're answering, put your answer in the comments below too, because it would be great for people to read other opinions.
So subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, what you're watching here. So just follow us, subscribe on that. Follow us on Instagram.
Join our Facebook community. We've got Facebook community out there.
Yeah, we do. And join us on Rumble and
Spotify.
If you listen to your podcast audio, then go ahead to Spotify. We're there. We're an Apple and iHeart.
We're all over the place.
We're everywhere. And you'll see the links below. But we're just so thankful that you have decided to join us. And we're really thankful when you make a comment, because people need to hear from you too.
Yeah, and tell your friends about this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So from Stephen and Corey.
Mm-hmm. Get it together.
Get it together.
We'll see you next season.
Bye now.